Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and welcome to the Final Five Campaign Virtual Town Hall meeting. We are pleased to have you all here and we are glad you all can make it because you are in for a beautiful journey today. My name is AnnMarie Brown. I've been with the Final Five Campaign from the beginning. I also wear a second hat as the current Director of Operations for Circles and Ciphers. And I'm going to take you all just kind of agenda of what you're going to see today. We're going to start with the history behind the work that has already been done to kind of get us to this point. We're going to go through some of the data about the current prisons that are open right now. We're going to go through campaign priorities, the priorities that we have come up with together that will showcase things that we want to be able to happen. And throughout the entire session, you all actually will be in for a treat to hear different poems and expressions of art from people who have experienced being incarcerated or have association with someone in their life that has been incarcerated. So everyone take a deep breath, and you also will be in for a second half where we're going to show guest speakers that are kind of doing this work now and kind of what it looks like, so we have something to look at. And then at the end, we'll go with our closing remarks and a call to action. So again, I'm AnnMarie. I'll be co-hosting with you all today, and I'll pass it to Kosi, who's our second co-host.
Yes, thank you, AnnMarie. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming again. My name is Kosi, she, her, and I'm a new organizer for the Final Five campaign and your other MC for today's town hall. I'll take a moment to go over some of our Zoom house ground rules and logistics. You cannot unmute yourself during the town hall, but the chat box is available for any comments or questions that you have. And if you provide your email, we'll be able to follow up with you after the town hall in order to make sure that we respond to any concerns, comments, anything that interests you during the town hall. Also, if you are media or press, please rename yourself as media : and then your full name. So for example, if I were to go in and add media, then : and it would say Kosi Achife in my little Zoom box. And this is so if need be, we can follow up with you and talk more about our campaign in depth. Now with that settled, let's get into it. I'm going to pass the mic over to Olivia, the other organizer for the campaign.
Hi, everybody. We can move on to the second slide here, Laura. My name is Olivia. I am a co-organizer of the Final Five campaign. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of history and background here. So the Final Five campaign started back in August. No, sorry, it was launched in August. It started at the beginning of the summer. But there's been a lot of work that has sort of led to this moment. So this, over the last 10 years, the Children and Family Justice Center, in collaboration with a lot of other advocates and a lot of other activists, have worked really hard to support young people and close prisons. We've, over the last 10 years, been able to close Murfreesboro, Joliet, and Kewanee. So this is a project that has been a long time coming, and yeah, we see this campaign as something that the Children and Family Justice Center has incubated and birthed, and we're really proud to say that this campaign is primarily youth-led, and we are absolutely working in that history and in that vein. So that's a little bit about the history of where the campaign is at now, and I'm going to pass it back to Kosi to talk a little bit about the data. Why should we close youth prisons? Thanks, Kosi.
Sure. Thank you. So the work of CFJC and the Final Five campaign refers to some of the key data that we're about to see regarding youth incarceration. And that is so that when we address this issue and we really start to tackle closing these prisons, we do so in a way that is very intentional and focuses on those sort of most harmed, most marginalized. In the first graph, we see that Black youth are disproportionately incarcerated in Illinois, especially when we consider Black people are less than 20% of the Illinois population. But you see in the graph, almost 3/4 of the youth incarceration population. In the next slide, many people may not realize this, but youth incarceration and incarceration writ large is a labor issue. Youth prisons tend to be some of the largest employers in their counties and vastly outweigh the number of youth actually incarcerated. In this work and in reimagining the youth justice system, we see that closing prisons entails an entire community transformation in order not to sort of like be a detriment to the community and make sure people still have the resources in order to sustain themselves once these prisons are closed. And then finally, youth prisons affect individual youth and their families. Family visits are limited for youth and can put a stress on family relations, bolster emotional trauma that prisons already cause to youth. And even then with this data, we aren't certain of how many of these reported visits are in person, but rather video visits, especially in the time of COVID. And we'll be trying to understand further in our work the discrepancy between sort of visits allowed at different facilities. And so to move from sort of the more numerical, quantitative side, something in our campaign that we really prioritize is, like Olivia said, being youth-led, but also sort of like youth creative and artistic expression. So to speak on these issues through the form of poetry is Destiny from Free Write, a partner organization that helps youth narrate and author their own stories.